Okay, welcome everyone to Quality Management. Today we'll continue with where we stopped the last lecture. We have covered the strategic planning process, and today I will demonstrate to you a real case study where we applied these steps for strategic planning, starting from the mission and vision, develop the objectives and the KPIs. Also, we'll talk about the SWOT analysis, how it can be applied here. We have covered the SWOT analysis before, and I will give you briefly how we can see that in reality in small case study that from the university. So let's move on to the case. The case here. Okay, the case was strategic plan for the College of Engineering. We began on that document on 2018. We applied these phases to develop the strategic plan, which is similar to the process with maybe some more details here. We have identified the team who's going to work on the strategic plan. Definitely you need a team, and this team has to be from different divisions and different departments and different levels in the organization to work on the strategic plan. Then we define the roles and responsibility for each one, who's going to be the team leader, who's going to be the one working on the mission, vision statement, how even the communication for the team, how often they will meet, and all that will be in the first phase. Then we have the strategic analysis. We have done a benchmark, and sometimes this is like as we were going here to explain this real case study, you may add some tools that will be helpful for you depending on the case that you're working on. Like we have applied a benchmark comparing other College of Engineering in other universities, how they develop their strategic plan, what they include, what they have, and so on. Then we review and assess the existing strategic plan. In case if you are in an organization, they already have a strategic plan, and this strategic plan is already applied before. In this case, you go and review it before you start the new one. I have a comment here. There is a problem in the voice. Is the voice clear? Fine. Okay. So we continue. Thank you. Reviewing the existing one because you need to know what are the objectives covered, what are the goals in the previous one. When we did this one here, there was another strategic plan, and usually you develop this plan for 5 years. So we went back to 2000, around 12 to 13, and we saw the document, we review it, and then we moved from there. We review the standards of the NCAA. The NCAA is the National Committee for Accreditation, and we review the requirements because usually you need to include standards if you have a standards in the organization in terms of policy, procedures that has to be applied. So you have to read that also. And this is definitely dependent on the organization you are working on. Review the strategic plan of the whole university, and definitely this is very important. We are working in a large scale organization where we have more than 3,000 employees. And usually you have a master strategic plan, like when we have here in the kingdom, we have a master vision, the 2030 vision. And then you may have sub a strategic plan for the organization. You have the ministry, and then you have maybe the اللي هو الهيئة or the university or the organization, and then you have another divisions where, like, a College of Engineering is a big division considered to be, and they have their own strategic plan because it's independent from other colleges, but it's still worked with the master plan of the university. And the university also, when they develop their plan, they have to go and look for the Ministry of Education strategic plan. So this is how it works. You have to go and review yours and review the the bigger umbrella or the bigger divisions in your area. In the third phase, we start now the process as we have covered it in the last lecture. We developed the vision, mission statement, and values. We conducted SWOT analysis, and it's an optional. We have covered the SWOT analysis before in previous lectures. But here I will show you where was the fit of the SWOT analysis and where we had it. And then develop the goals of the strategic plan. Then we move to the objectives or the initiatives, let's say, اللي هي المبادرات. And we have the KPIs and the risk analysis. And the last thing, we have conduct a survey. The survey, you spread the strategic plan to your stakeholders in the organization. Senior students, alumni, faculty members, staff. If you have a consultant committee, then you send them this survey. They have to give you their feedback about your plan. Those people who will be benefit directly or indirectly to your plan, to your work, to your performance. So they have to be involved on that also. We revise, and then the advisory board, this is what I meant by the consultant committee here, المجلس الاستشاري. And then you have to get some approval. Those approval depend on your organization, whether you need to have them or no, but definitely you need some kind of authority of approving this before you proceed and apply that document. This is how the college plan was initiated. We move to the next step in the vision statement. And maybe we covered this part earlier, but I will show you here more details in the coming slides, but we will start from the beginning with a different way. Today, I will show you how we map. We have to map the university vision and the college in terms of all the levels, in all the crossing the mission statement, the vision, the values, the objectives. You have to have mapped with the organization vision. Let's say you are working in Siemens company, well-known company, very large company. They have their sub-companies. They have Siemens for healthcare, Siemens for power, and others. So the master plan or the master vision or strategic plan for the Siemens company, it has to be across all the other divisions. Like if you have a Siemens for healthcare, they have their own strategic plan, but it has to be mapped with the master plan. The same, for example, for Aramco, let's say, the oil company. The Aramco, they have their own sub-companies that works and aligned with Aramco. So the same, you have to have the sub-companies when they develop their plan, they have to have it mapped with the master one. So now here in the vision statement, if you read the statements, you see there are many parts where they intersect. And these parts, we call them attributes here. And these the attributes in this column. It's drawn from each statement. Let's say, for example, here, the excellence in teaching, it was mentioned here in the university vision, as you can see, excellence in teaching here, and also in the college level, where you can see that the leadership in engineering education, leading in engineering education. So those map to the same criteria, which is the excellence in teaching. You can see here how both they map together and how they are intersect with each other in all these four attributes. And I'm just highlighting one for an example, but we will go with this example here. I will show you and demonstrate you to the small level, even to the project level. So we will take the excellence in teaching as the common comment, the common point here between the university and the college, and we will move on and see how the excellence in teaching develop objectives and develop goals and develop projects and develop KPIs related to only to one thing, which is one attribute here, which is the excellence in teaching. The same applies for all the other attributes, but here is just an example. All the things will be highlighted in blue to show you how the excellence in teaching is mapped between the university to the college level. Now let's move on. In the vision, the mission statement, again, we have the excellence in teaching mentioned in the mission statement, distinguished education. What we mean by distinguished education, تميز في التعليم, which is related to the teaching and education. In the college level, we have it here, providing high quality academic programs. The programs, definitely the main core of the education in the engineering college or program. And as you can see, these two map to each other and map to the vision statement. If we move on to the values, we will see the excellence as one of the values the university have, and the same for the college, where they have the excellence in providing all the means of resources and encourage the people to excel this in their performance or their daily work, which is related again to your faculty member, to the staff who's serving and working in this institute. Now we move on again to the values, and we can see here the map of the excellence in the table here. Now we move on to the third or to the fourth step of the strategic planning process, which is the objectives and goals. And if you look to the university goals here at this level or at this domain, focusing on providing programs developed according to the international standards of quality and academic accreditation, which means that is related to the distinguished education. How you have distinguished education. One of the goals you can provide or develop is to have a program that is accredited by authentic body or association. In the college level, providing excellent academic engineering programs that best meet the needs and requirements of both public and private sectors and implement the quality assurance and continuous improvement system. This is a goal. This is very broad now. Still, it's a broad. We will go to a smaller level when we go to the objectives later. When we develop the SWOT analysis, I will show you how it's linked later after I go to the goals, because it's not one of the main tools of developing strategic plan. But now if we go to the domain that the university have, they have in their mission statement and vision they have developed several domains. One of them is the distinction in teaching and learning, as we saw that from the mission and the vision statement. Okay, so let's move on. Sorry, here it is not here, it's in the goals here. This is the domain, the distinction, teaching and learning. And the college have developed 3 goals to serve this domain. And one of them is providing a high quality education environment, then obtain program accreditation, strength faculty competences. Right. Now let's move on to the SMART goals. You remember the SMART goals from the previous lecture. The SMART goals here we have, it's a smaller level than the goals and the objectives. We have the College of Engineering will work to establish new engineering program. The college will work to complete and update educational labs, equipment, all that under the distinction in education and in teaching and learning. We will continue with this domain in the next page. Obtaining the program accreditation, strengthen the faculty competences, as we saw before. And you have underneath each one of them now a smaller or more focused goal, which is the SMART goals. Qualify the academic programs to obtain the accreditation. Now you moved from the objective, the very large one, the distinct in education, in teaching and learning, and then you become to one very small scope, or one of the SMART goals here you have to qualify the program into accreditation or to obtain the accreditation. Now you put your executive projects. The executive projects means اللي هي المشاريع التنفيذية. Now you come to the practical. You have goals, you have objectives. Okay, now we work it on and we implement it. As you can see, in the domain, the same domain that brought from the mission, the vision statement, the values, and the objectives and the goals, which is the distinction, teaching, and learning, we have a project, many projects for that domain. One of that projects, we have obtaining program accreditation, which is the ABIT, okay? As you can see here, this is the project. Now it becomes a project, not just a goal to prepare the program for now you have to get the accreditation. In this table we have here, we have the domains, we have the project number, and each project has a number so you can track it. Then you have the strategic goal. Which strategic goal? You go back and review what we covered earlier. You have a project code and the project status. Is it started, in progress, proposed, completed? The cross impact is impacting on whom? Who are the stakeholders? Okay, the implementation. Now the responsibility now, who's going to be the implementation? It's the Vice Dean of Academic, the Vice Dean of Development and Quality, اللي هو وكالة الكلية للتطوير والجودة. The partnership is the PM, which is I believe was there is the legend key here below. I believe I will go back later. Then we have the supervision is the dean. I believe it's I will get back to who was the abbreviation لأنها اختصارات فوالله الحقيقة ماني أذكر الآن الاختصار لكن we talk about the roles. The partnership means مشارك في المشروع, implementation مين اللي فعلا هو حيطبق المشروع هذا, who is going to implement it. فهنا نتكلم عن الجودة في الديبارتمنت or for the college. السوبرفيجن مين اللي حيشرف عليه, العمادة حقت الكلية أو العميد. Partnership, definitely it will be more than one stakeholders, I believe, because you have faculty and others from the university. Then you have the KPIs, the key performance indicator, which we covered in the previous lecture. In the KPIs, we have some codes here, and we will go later in the document and show you how you extract these codes, just to make everything in one page here. We have the code T30 as a KPI, and we have E3. Those are the KPIs. What are the E30 and E3? We will see them in a few. Then we have the main domains that is covered. The main domain, which is one, the distinction in teaching and learning, because it could be the project crossing more than one domain as a primary and secondary. Like this is the primary, and then you have the secondary domain number 6. Then we have the risk. What are the risks for this project? We have 3 risks here, and the code for those risks are given. We will see those risks in the coming slides. So we will start with the KPI T30 and KPI E3. Those the key performance indicators for this project. Let's go and read them. Those are the risks, and we will get back to them. But let's start with the KPIs. This is the first one here. The KPI, improving the national and international university ranking, obtain program accreditation. You have the current was 80%, and then you have 100. What is the 180? Let's go back here. This is the target in 2020. 80% of the program has to be accredited, and in 2025, 100% of the programs to be accredited. Now we're talking, we are in 2023, and we have more than 80% of the programs is accredited. 4 out of 5 programs accredited already in the college. And the other KPI, which is E3, the number of programs received the accreditation. And in 2020 was 0, and in 2025 the target is to have 5 programs. And if we check now, as we said, we have 4 out of 5 programs already. So this is the KPI, okay, we have developed for that project. Now let's move on to the risks for that project. We have developed the risk, and we identify the risks for this project here in the given code are 1.1.1, are 1.4. I already highlight them, so it will be easier for us just to read them here. We have a financial and investment risk, and this is related to the balance scorecard that we have covered before. In terms of the financial, you recall we have 4 dimensions, the balance scorecard. The risk here is lack of government support, decrease in the university budget. This is a risk could be happen because the accreditation require financial support and budget, and if for anything this happen and lack, then you have a risk here. So you have to develop later a separate document for the risk planning. The risk planning, what is the risk, the occurrence, the occurrence level, is it high or low, the severity of the risk, and what is the mitigation plan, كيف عمل التعامل معه حيكون. And then you develop the NPR اللي هو RPN عفوا اللي هو الريسك نمبر الفاليو لكل ريسك كده تعمل لها sorting من الأعلى للأسفل وتتعامل معها. Then we have another risk here in terms of the information technology and the IT. The risk of lack of skills and competences necessarily of technical work. يعني ممكن يكون عندك ضعف في مفهوم الاكريديتيشن في السكيلز الستاف والفاكولتي اللي عندك، فما يعرفوا ايش المتطلبات المطلوبه فيه او كيف تطبيقه على ارض الواقع. فهنا يحتاج لك انت you need some trainings for your employee. I think we have We have a third risk here, employee turnover. وهذه خطيرة جدا لأنه ممكن يكون عندك الناس that they have the knowledge, they leave the organization. فهذا بيكون خطر جدا كبير عليك. في مشروع زي هذا محتاج الناس اللي يكون عندهم experience كيف يعملوا documentation, كيف to start up the process, how they implement it. فإذا الناس هذه مشيت يكون صعب عليك جدا التعامل مع بناس ما عندها السكيلز الكافية إنها to take lead this project. فهنا another risk, it could happen to the project. So this is how you develop strategic planning from A to Z in an example of the College of Engineering. I brought this an example because it was real first. I was the one responsible in developing this plan. Also is similar in touching your area as you are a student now and you are in the College of Engineering, so you can see how it's related to maybe what you have been through and you have seen during the accreditation journey. There was a big work behind that, and there was a plan, and there was definitely a university plan. And then you can see how they are all mapped to each other. Nothing came by just chance. And for one day, we just wake up and say, oh, we need to have to get the accreditation. No, something that's already planned from 2018 and successfully completed in 2021, I believe, 22. Well, it postponed due to the COVID. We should have get the accreditation during the COVID pandemic year, but then it was postponed for the protocol that happened from the ABIT organization and also from the government here. So this is an example. I hope you enjoyed this one and you benefit and you see how things link to each other. As we said, yeah, there was the SWOT analysis. I will go over the SWOT analysis here. It's an optional, it's not necessary to do it in the strategic plan, but definitely you have it as one of the tools. We already covered it before, but I'm talking about this process of developing strategic plan. When you develop the SWOT analysis, also it's mapped with the goals and the objectives and the project of the accreditation. You have the domain, and for every domain, you will evaluate your organization from the SWOT analysis perspective, which is the weakness, the strength, and the opportunity and threats. For the weaknesses in the distinction in teaching and learning, we have plenty. And also for the strength, we have a couple here. And I will show you where it comes, the link of the here. In the opportunities. في الفرص. الفرص عندنا the presence of ABIT accreditation. So this is one of the opportunities that the college could have. فرصة عندك الآن إنك أنت ممكن تحصل عليه لأنه ما هو عندك. So this is one of the opportunities, and it's mapped with the mission and the vision and also the objectives. There is many other, for example here, changing the accreditation requirement by the program accreditation boards. And actually this happens when we started the project of the accreditation in the same year. It was our luck, over maybe 10 years, ABIT having never changed their policy or requirements, but in that year, for our luck, they changed it. So we had to adapt to that and change our practices accordingly. So the threat here was in the SWOT analysis. It was mentioning that along with other threats like market challenge for graduates to compete with the local private engineering college offers program male and female, في أمور أكثر من موضوع الأكريديشن طبعا. as you can see تحت distinction in teaching and learning. يعني مثلا هنا classrooms are not sufficient, not adequately occupied. هذه one of the weakness. Lack of policy, of course, distribution and staff loading. And the strength here, one maybe of the strength we have the ISTA program for the summer training. We also had the 3+1, which is the exchange program with international schools. So you evaluate organization using the SWOT analysis. It could help you also in developing the projects or the SMART goals in the future. But as I told you, this is an optional tool in developing the strategic planning. But definitely SWOT analysis is one of the very, very important tool in strategic planning in general. You need it, as you remember when we talked about the benchmark. You can use it to also benchmark, because you are comparing yourself with others, especially in the threats and opportunities parts. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this example, and it help you in translating those theoretical parts into reality, and you see how they become in actual project. So now I will end this session and take the question. Thank you for the listening.